Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today, after this video, we will officially be halfway through the Wayne Sharp World Knife of the Year Awards for 2022, and today we are tackling the best knives in the $100 to $150 range. Now, I gotta say, of all the categories, this was definitely the one that got off to the slowest start. There was one that came out earlier this year that I really liked, but vast majority of the knives in this video released towards the end of this year. I would say like the last third of this year at least. So pretty exciting stuff to end the year on such a hot note. And let's get right into it. We have 3 honorable mentions, and we of course have our top 3. So let's start off with our first honorable mention here. And there's a slight exception being made for this one. But what we have here is the Knife Center exclusive Kaiser Gemini. Now, very few times will I take a new knife that's basically a new version of a model that's been around for a little while. But this one here just really did it for me. It was new enough to where it felt like a completely different knife for me with the button lock that Kaiser put on this. And it's not just any button lock. This is the same button lock as the Kaiser Cormorant here, which is very different, as you can see on the back here. On most button locks, let me grab another one here, one that is not in our today's video. Here is an example of another button lock. As you can see, the actual plunge of the button lock is, you can see it resting against the back of the inside of the blade here. But you don't have that on this model. That is because the entire plunge of the button is inside the blade. So it makes for a more sturdy, reliable lockup. Not that I've had any other problems with other button locks, but this one is just a tad more rock solid than the rest. Very, very nice design. And this one is just stupid smooth. Right out of the box too. I have yet to disassemble this. The only thing I did actually was that there was a little nick in the micarta right down here, and I touched that up with a little bit of pen to kind of blend it back in with the black so it looks brand spanking new. Really, really good. Really like the way this linen micarta has been patinaing too, by the way. But anyway, back to the overall substance of this knife here. This is the Kaiser Gemini button lock, Knife Center exclusive. There are still some in stock, and we're talking $120 for this. 4V steel, very, very nice button lock system, and some excellent micarta, deep carry clip. This is one of my 2 favorite Geminis that have ever been made. And I may show you the other one in some other videos. It won't be in this video, but this is easily, the other one is the Raffir Noble from Kaiser, but this here is easily one of my favorite versions of this knife. It's a great EDC size, and it really was like, this knife was made to have this this style of button lock. I think there's a specific name for it, but I can't think of it. Anyway, don't want to get too carried away into just one honorable mention, but this is the first honorable mention, the Kaiser Gemini button lock, Knife Center exclusive, and yeah, easily one of the best Geminis ever made. Next up, this is a completely brand new, really a very new brand and a very new model. This is the Vosti Nightshade. Now, one thing that has to be known about this, and I didn't have this model in the earlier video, but there is a budget version of this. And they really are both phenomenal. I went with this version because I just liked what it offered a little more. But in terms of just overall performance and badassery, this budget version is also very nice. This is the Vosti Nightshade. This is the Vosti Nightshade LT. This, I believe, is $69. And this guy right here is coming in at $129, but I believe they are sold out now at this point. I really did like what they had to offer on this, though. A nice stonewash deep carry clip, some excellent polished micarta, which you don't see a lot of polished micarta. They polished it perfectly, and it still has a nice bit of tackiness, so it's not slick. I love this. And then we got a copper bolster up here, or kind of like a bolster plate. It's a faux bolster, a fake bolster. Got a liner lock, and the real magic is this blade right here. M390 steel, and this is one slicey blade. Just an excellent, a lot more versatile for EDC use than you would think. Very versatile tip. And I also did kind of just a cut test with this budget version. Cut through a lot of tubing, cardboard, paper. Excellent performer. And I am just a huge fan of the aesthetics of this knife and the action. Watch and listen. The tink. The tink. So good. So good. Very nice flipping action. Excellent sound, excellent feel in hand. This was just an absolute winner. And Vosteed was one of the companies that really got my attention this year. They have some incredible stuff coming out, including some follow-ups to this model. There's going to be some different types of versions and plays along this base design that I think a lot of people are really going to like. So keep your eye out for that. You're definitely going to see it on my channel in the future, and I'm sure other channels as well, and of course on Instagram. But Vosteed got off to a very hot start this year with some excellent models. And this is not the last of Vosteed in this video, but this is the Vosteed Nightshade coming in with an honorable mention. Last honorable mention of the video, and this one's gonna surprise some people. I think a lot of people were expecting to see this in the top 3, but here we are. This is the Kaiser Drop Bear. Now, what makes this knife awesome is 100% the clutch lock. And I will say too, I think the blade doesn't get enough respect because I think this blade shape and blade design is just like kind of a little more like old school, but also more modern. I love it. I love the lines on this blade, love the blade handle ratio, proportion, the overall geometry and just aesthetics of this knife are gorgeous. Not just cutting geometry, but just like overall size comparison from blade to handle and width, length, all that good stuff. It's just a good looking knife. Feels great in hand. We're looking at 119 bucks. I believe they're on sale right now, so you can get them for a little less than 119. But just a super solid offering from Kaiser. This clutch lock is easily, by far and away, one of, I would say easily one of the 3 best crossbar style locks I've ever come across. And it's probably in the top 2. I think I would put it in the top 2. It might be tough. It may be coming at number 3, but regardless, it's one of the best you can get. You can customize the actual little crossbar. Why can't I think of it? Springs. Thank you, Crowton. Thank you to myself who said that to myself. I'm losing my mind. This is the clutch lock springs. You can adjust them, and it is nice. To be honest, I haven't messed around with that a whole lot. I got this in, it came in right at the halfway point, and I really just, it's good to go as is. I don't really need to play around with it because I enjoy this one just as much as I think anything else. I wouldn't want it any softer, that I know for sure. The only thing I kind of asked myself was, would I want it a little stiffer? And I just enjoy it too much to where I'm just not going to mess with it because I think it's good to go as is. But outside of the clutch lock, you have that great blade, the 154cm that Kaiser does a fantastic job with. And I don't want to hear anyone complaining about 154cm for 120 bucks because there's plenty of other companies that do it. It is what it is. You know, it's not the best, greatest, amazing deal of the century, but it's still a fantastic knife and very deserving to be in this position. I could make a case for it being in the top 3, but there's something similar in the top 3 that I think you'll understand when I get to it. But this is one damn good offering. One of the many bangers to come from Kaiser this year, the Kaiser Drop Bear. Now we are in the top 3, and coming in at number 3 is one that would probably be higher up on most years if it wasn't for some of the much different innovative designs and in different types of locks that came out this year. But what we have here at number 3 is the QSP Penguin Plus. What puts this big penguin at number 3? Well, first of all, we got a big slab of 20 CV, big slabs of titanium for the handle, and we're looking at just 150 bucks. And these, last I knew they were available at Caviso. I will have these linked to Caviso. I believe they're still available. But this is a substantial knife. QSP did a lot of things right here. One, I love this ano job. It goes back and forth between blue and purple, and it is just sweet. I'm very, sometimes I like something like this, and sometimes it just doesn't work for me. For this knife, in this situation, I love it. I honestly love it. The ergos are so good. They're kind of neutral, but they are just really good for a lot of hands, whether it's a bigger hand or a smaller hand. Just very, very nice, kind of non-judgmental ergos. I guess a lot of hands are going to like these ergos. The blade, very, very nice, versatile EDC blade. I love a good Wharncliffe. I don't know if someone would consider this a sheep's foot. I'm going to call it a Wharncliffe. Love this blade shape. I loved it on the original one, and I like it now that it's bigger. And what really is the cherry on top with this is the added flipper. The action is phenomenal, whether you're flipping it or flicking it, and it's just good to go. The action on this is so smooth. QSP did just about everything right with this. I don't know, if I could change one thing on this knife, I wouldn't put a wire clip here. I'd put a milled clip because I think this knife just deserves a milled clip. But that's it. And I'm not really knocking the wire clip because it works just fine. But I would prefer a milled clip. But the action on this guy is just so smooth. Nice, powerful 20 CV blade. This is a great, great knife. And you're going to see more of these next year because I believe QSP is just starting to really get up the run going of these QSP Pluses. There's going to be lots of versions, lots of flavors. I got to say, for all the offerings I've seen from these, this is still one of my favorites because I don't think I've ever seen an anno job where there's been so much blues and purples to change. And like when you get like, if your hands get warm or there's fluids or like if your hands sweat, like it plays with the colors. And I have not seen that quite as much on other anodized handles. I'm sure people will say, oh, it's like all anodized handles do that. Well, they might, but I've never noticed it as much as I have on this handle. I think just because it's so big and like kind of plain, it really helps the colors stand out more as to where opposed if there was a lot of like milling or anything else on there. It's just kind of like a canvas for colors to dance, I guess is the best way to put it. But this knife overall is just fantastic. Any other year would have been higher than number 3, but here it is at number 3, and it's still well worth your consideration. The QSP Penguin Plus coming in at $149. Now, number 2. This was one of the hardest decisions I've had this entire series between this number 2 and number 1. Coming in at number 2 is the Vosteed Thunderbird. And Vosteed really dropped a bomb with this one. I mean, this is just, from an aesthetic standpoint, it's a home run. It's incredible. I love everything about this knife from an aesthetic standpoint. The blade is gorgeous. The handle is amazing. One of the few times I really like this Topo style G10 look. Big fan of this G10. Looks great. Love the black and red. It works with the satin really well. Kind of gives that Sith look going on. Love this. It also has that Cormorant style button lock design where the full button plunge goes into the blade for a nice secure lockup. And this is just a Fidget beast. Front flip, flick, middle finger flick. You can thumb flick it. It's not quite as enjoyable for the thumb flick, but however you want to deploy this knife, you can do it. Huge fan of this as just like a fun kind of EDC fidget knife. And then when it comes to actually cutting stuff and doing what a knife should do, it's just as good at that as well. Has a great edge on this. Not the sliciest knife in the world, but plenty good enough for pretty much anyone that's going to need to carry a knife, unless you're doing nothing but just, more finer, slicier tasks. It's a great blade with S35 VN. There we are. And just, again, I even kind of like the wire clip on this. I don't have any real issue with the wire clip. Wire clips are never my first choice, but some I tend to be okay with more than others, and this is one that I am okay with. Although I would still put a milk clip, but yeah, that's just me. Back here we have, I believe this is copper. I think a copper backspacer, which was the only thing about it that I didn't quite get that. I don't have a problem with it, not knocking it. I just could do without it. I would rather it just be like black Yeah, maybe just black or red, something like that. But it doesn't matter. This knife's amazing. It is so smooth, so good. Love the size. Love the different grip options you have on it. And of course, it's one of the best button locks of the year. I'm probably going to come up with the best button locks of the year for you guys because I've had a lot of people asking for it. I did kind of a mid-year button lock list, and it's probably only fitting to have a final end of the year list with all of them through the year. But in terms of this category, this price right here, this guy, I don't even think I mentioned the price, $129. $129 is a damn good deal for this knife. Fantastic offering from Vosteed. And like I said, guys, Vosteed has my full attention. Keep your eye on them. Give them a follow on Instagram. Check out their Facebook group. They have some amazing work coming down the lines, and I'm really excited to see it. This here is the Thunderbird coming in at number 2. And now we have reached the number 1 spot in the $100 to $150 category. And coming in at number 1, it really was hard, but it is the Kaiser Escort. And that's kind of going back to what I was saying about the drop bear. It just didn't make sense for me to put the drop bear in the top 3 to have the Escort at number 1. They're both great. It comes down to like what you prefer. What I like about the Escort over the drop bear, and also what I like about it over the Thunderbird for that, is one, you have a very premium steel. You have 20 CV steel compared to the 154 CM on the drop bear and the S35 on the Thunderbird. You have a very, very nice handle here. I love the width and overall size of this handle. It has it looks like a tactical knife, but this just feels like a tactical knife to me. And it doesn't have to have the grippiest and strongest G10 in the world for it to be tactical. These are relatively smooth aluminum scales, basically the same type of aluminum you're going to feel on Protex. I really like it, though. I don't have any grip issues. It feels totally fine in hand. Plenty of jimping all over the place to allow for a little bit of extra grip. It just has a very nice kind of casually tactical look to it, I guess. And I just love it. The blade is nice and slicey. You got a pretty high flat grind with a surprisingly thin blade stock. This actually may just be 120 thousandths. It actually may be just a little less than, it might be 110 thousandths, but it comes down to a very nice thin slicey edge. You have a nice slicey tip. Just everything I look for in a blade. The only thing that would make this knife a little better for me is if the tip was dropped down just a little more. But I gotta say, I mean, from an aesthetic standpoint, it looks phenomenal as is, but I would get a little more use out of that tip if it was lowered down to be a little more in line with the pivot. So I would love to see an Escort come out with a different blade shape, even though this one is obviously badass as is, coming in at number 1, but I would love to see Kaiser really play with this Escort. Let Dirk Bickerton design another blade shape to throw on this guy. I mean, it would be awesome. But the clutch lock is just as good on this model as it is the drop bear. I originally thought this had better action than the drop bear, but when I went back to my review process of handling this and the drop bear, it's literally a coin toss. I'm sure some people would probably prefer the action on the drop bear over the action on the Escort. It's literally neck and neck for me. I really can't pick just one over the other, but I can pick this knife as the best knife in the $100 to $150 category. It's coming in right now at $145, and there's some places that may be selling it for over that, but be patient, keep your eyes out, use discount codes when you can. I believe my Wayne's World code works on Amazon still. Will save you 10% off this. Or, of course, White Mountain Knives, WSW10. But you should be able to find this guy for under $150. Last I saw, these were coming in around $145. And that's a really great offering for 20 CV. Very, very solid build with phenomenal action. Solid pocket clip. There's really nothing that's wrong with this. I really hope to see more versions of this knife and maybe even some other blade shapes added to this handle because I really love this handle. The overall, everything about this handle is perfect for me. But this is an incredible knife, and that is your $100 to $150 knives of the year for Wayne Sharp World. Here we are. At number 3, we have the QSP Penguin Plus. At number 2, we have the Vosteed Thunderbird. And at number 1, we have the the Kaiser Escort. And I'm just going to throw this out there. If anyone's complaining about, oh, you gave Kaiser #1 because they sent you knives. Well, Vosti had sent me that knife too. So don't even try going there. Just thought I'd put it out there and get ahead of that horse before it came at me. But yeah, 3 phenomenal knives, guys. Can't go wrong with any one of them. Let me know which one you prefer. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.